Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and in this segment, we're going to be talking all about where we stand, what's going to happen, and I know that Georgia is freaking you out, but it ain't over until the fat lady sings, so we're going to have to see how that turns out. I'll give you an update on Georgia, I'll let you know what states are contesting the election with separate sets of electoral votes, and I'll let you know what Trump said about Mike Pence being in total agreement that he has the power to change the course of history. Folks, you're not going to want to miss where this goes next. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here. Thank you for joining me in the wee hours of the morning on January 6th, 2021. A day in history, a day that I'm sure will be remembered for generations to come. And folks, we have breaking news. You see, it's come out that Pence is in total agreement with President Trump that he has the power to act on the electoral college votes. Now, will he? That's something we're going to have to talk about. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at Georgia. We're going to take a look at the states that are challenging the electoral votes. We're going to take a look at what may happen, what has already happened. This segment is all about getting you ready for today, getting you prepared with what may happen, arming you with the tools of what's going on so that you can experience this historic moment with as much clarity as humanly possible. And when you have this clarity, it will allow you to make more logical, more non-reactionary, non-emotional based decisions based in stoicism, based in logic, based in critical thinking, depending upon what may happen or may not happen or where it may go. And folks, I think that it's going to go to a very interesting place. I really do. And I'm going to offer some theories, some ideas that probably nobody else is talking about. There aren't many people like me out there. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm not saying that I'm great or wonderful or anything like that. What I'm trying to get at is I'm a very odd character. I'm an odd mix of skill sets and personality traits to throw together in one meat suit here, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, you like my my revolutionary shirt here? Yeah, I like this one. This is a good one for January 6th, since we're in the spirit of 1776. This is a grunt style shirt I got a long time ago. It's a nice shirt. I like it. Anyway, all right, we're going to get into the reading. We're going to talk about Pence. We're going to talk about what's going on, what's in his head, and the pressure that's put upon him. But first, let's take a look at Georgia. This is what I know has been freaking everybody out. I even maybe had a little mini panic attack over it. Look, we were up hundreds of thousands, right around 90%. And then all of a sudden, skaploosh, right? And now look at this right here. Ossoff is beating Purdue, all right, by a couple thousand votes here. How the hell did that happen, right? And now Loeffler is being beaten by Warnock. That means that the Democrats may take the Senate. Now, these folks will challenge, and rightfully so. They're dealing with Dominion machines. And by the way, I've heard everything from everybody talking to me about Italy Gate, okay? I've read everything. I've listened to the audio interview from that Maria lady. I know you've all heard of it from that nonprofit or whatever that she works for. I'm not saying that it isn't credible. I'm not saying that it is credible. I've heard General Flynn confirm certain things. I believe something is going on. Something big is going on. We may even find out about it tomorrow. We may not. Who knows? But I can't go report on that yet. I need a little bit more information. I need a little bit more credibility to come out from it, because right now you got to understand, from my perspective, Maria's just a lady that runs a business. I'm just a guy that runs a business, right? Maria's just a lady that runs a business. So until I know more about her team and everything like that, I'm not going to really put a big thing, and I'll give it a hell of a show. You know me, guys. You know me. If it turns out to be more factual, if more things come out, you saw when we started hearing about the raid in Frankfurt and it started becoming news at multiple different sources and things came down that verified it, I started reporting on that. I gave you the revealing the Kraken episodes, things like that, and you really enjoyed it. But I would never have gone against my personal ethics and made those if there weren't multiple verified sources coming out about it. This, as true as it may be, until we have some triangulation with some different sources coming out and reporting a good a thumbs up, especially when I heard during that she has no funding and different things like that. I don't know. It makes me wonder. But at the same time, anything is possible. 2020 taught us that. 2020 taught us that. So I'm not discounting the Italy gate. I think that if it's really going down like that, it's the biggest scandal in the history of the world. And I hope they all rot in hell, burn, and get executed for treason. But we're going to have to find out as a little bit more information comes out. And if we get a little bit more information, just a little bit more, I promise you, I will do a killer show on it. All right. I might not even do a segment. I might dedicate a whole podcast to it for you guys, just because so many of you reached out to me about it. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from with it. I look forward to doing a piece on it. I just need a little bit more information. So bear with me on that. But folks, in the Senate, we could lose. We could also pull it off. They could challenge this. We've got the Dominion machines. That's what we're talking about right now. We've got the Dominion machines down there. We've got Jovan. Remember, Georgia is where Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is. For all we know, he's been monitoring this election. You remember? He was monitoring the election live. He hacked into it. He hacked into the Georgia Senate runoffs. It's completely possible he's going to come out tomorrow and be like, hey, MFers, look at all this. Look at the data I have. You screwed the pooch, both of you laws. And I mean, a bigger scandal could come out of it. Or it could stretch out. Remember, we still have counting going to go on for maybe a day or two after this. We have challenges to this. So if it looks like the Republicans are going to lose, it actually puts pressure on the Republicans to defend Donald Trump. All right. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean? Well, maybe, just maybe, some of these rhinos that are out there were entertaining it, but aren't really serious. Maybe, just maybe, they didn't care about getting rid of Trump because and bringing in Biden and doing all this crap because they'd get to line their pockets again. You know, the elites of both groups are pretty much the same. They're not necessarily far left extremists. They're just global elites that want to line their pockets and step on the backs of the poor. That goes back to ancient history, ladies and gentlemen. Ancient history. You can see that. Go watch Braveheart. Go learn about it. Yeah, you know, and then think about Nancy Pelosi and people like that. But listen, the elites in both parties are the same. All right. And they just want to line their pockets. They just want to take your money. So if that means getting rid of Trump and putting in Biden, if they kept the Senate, they could just block the socialism the whole time, blackball Biden, and get rid of their problem of Trump, too, taking away their cash cow. It would be a win-win for the establishment elites in both the Republican and the Democrat Party. But now that it looks like, all right, and this is me putting the strategical twist on it and a possible positive spin, I want you to see it like this and think about it like this. By making it look like, not saying it's intentional, we could lose these seats, but by it being that it looks like we are going to lose them, the Republican congressmen and senators have a much larger incentive to act and keep that veto power in the White House. Because a Biden-Harris administration with both the Senate and the House of Representatives would fundamentally change this country for the worse. And it would not be beneficial to any of the elites that are lining their pockets. Because there has to be certain systems of doing things. There has to be certain ways that this money flows in. And that radical Great Reset is not as helpful to the elites on the right that it is on the left. We could do a whole 6-hour show on it, I promise. But I'm going to go way too far off the deep end, and we're going to end up spending 3 hours talking about all this crap. And I know you want me to move on. So I get it. There's a pit a feeling in the pit of our stomachs. We have that nauseous, gross feeling, that uneasy feeling. I know a lot of us are down and sad and upset, but now isn't the time to get sad. Now isn't the time to be down and deflated. Now is the time to stand up. And even if we lost everything, we'd still have to stand up, because we have to fight this big ideology, this takeover, this cultural bomb that's been going off in our country. Folks, we have to fight that. Even if it seems insurmountable, what are you going to do? Bend over and take it so that you just get arrested and thrown in the gulag 2 years from now instead of tomorrow? That's how you lose a country. So you have to stand up and demand your rights, regardless of what happens. Folks, we're Americans. We're citizens of the freest nation in this country. And if we don't fight for it, if we don't open our mouths, if we don't stand up now, we're looking at hell on earth. Plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen, hell on earth. You know, there were a lot of people in Nazi Germany, in different parts of Russia, different parts of some of the Eastern European countries, people in Venezuela, people in different countries in South America, different, even, Cuba, I would say back in the day, different places that have been subjugated by the cold, icy hand of tyranny. Folks, you know what happens in the history books. You know what happens 10 years later after you just get complicit and just bow to them. Oh, yeah, just do what we say. Don't worry. We won't do anything. No, you can take my word for it. Yeah. And then 3 years later, they bust up the shops and train people off to the gas chambers. Folks, you're just delaying the inevitable. So don't get deflated. Don't get put down. Don't get beat up. Don't get downtrodden. Don't be one of those naysaying, freaking low down, dirty demoralizers walking around going, oh, it's over. Oh, it's all lost. Oh, the deep state. Oh, everything. Shut up. Fight. If you don't like it, do something and make a change. Write something, say something, be about something. But don't put everything down and put everybody down that's fighting, that's standing shoulder to shoulder. We have to stand together, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of the results. And I think you know that by now. And I'm sure some of you might have taken offense to that, but most of you didn't. You know who I am by now. You know I'm only giving you the truth. You know I'm only telling you how it is and really trying to give you the tools you need to fight back. So you need this information. You need this to fire you up, and you need to see it from all angles. Do I want to win both seats? Hell yeah. But if it appearing like we lose and having to challenge it later puts enough pressure on other Republicans to stand up and support our fight to keep Trump in office, then I'm okay with feeling uneasy. I'm okay with suffering a little. In fact, maybe it's my duty. Maybe we as citizens don't always give enough. Maybe we don't. Maybe we should give a little bit of our stress, a little bit of our nausea to the cause, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it sucks. What else can I say? Life sucks sometimes, right? You've heard it. Life sucks. Eat a cookie, right? Well, that cookie is liberty. That cookie is a freedom cookie, guys. And freedom cookies are the most delicious cookies because nobody can take that cookie and you don't have to share it with anybody else. And it's full of chocolate chips. I like actually white chocolate macadamia. If anybody ever wants to get me cookies, you can get me white chocolate macadamia. Listen. All right. The freedom cookie is the best cookie in the world. And when you eat the freedom cookie, you don't ever want to go back to it. You know what a socialism cookie tastes like? You really want to know? You ever have one of those Fig Newtons? Not the Fig Newton brand, the off brand, the one that's like, I don't know. It's like it says something like pastry of pastry. I don't freaking know what they're, but you've seen them. They look like little mini toaster strudels. They're like the Fig Newton cookie things. They're filled with like a goop, like a prune goop cookies. That's the off-brand name, prune goop cookies. Listen, Socialism is literally like eating grape nuts for breakfast with frickin' almond milk, unsweetened, for the rest of your life until they shoot you in the back of the head. The freedom cookie tastes like that. You ever see that thing at Panera Bread? It's like this, it's like a snickerdoodle with caramel, and that's what a freedom cookie tastes like, folks, and that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the freedom cookies, folks. We are fighting for the right, the privilege, the God-given choice to live our life to the fullest extent, to what makes us happy, to protect our individual liberty, to choose to be free. And they want to take that away, ladies and gentlemen. Pardon my humor in this serious situation, but you ain't taking my freedom cookies. Get your hand out of my cookie jar, pal. I will slap that hand right out. Anyway, let's get back on topic. I can already hear the people that are watching this channel for the first time that don't understand that this is news/entertainment, that don't understand that I'm a political commentator. I might be an educated person, both by the School of Hard Knocks and by school in general, but I'm also an entertainer. I also want to make you laugh. I want to deliver this to you in such a way that gets you excited, that gets you fired up, that makes you feel what I feel inside. You're not going to get milk and toast from James Lane. You're not. So I can already hear it. I can already hear haters going, get to the point. You rambled on. It was until 16 minutes where you didn't get to the point. Well, guess what? It's my show. It's my show, and the fans of the American Reveille movement, the patriots that are banding together to be great digital soldiers, to fight the left, to support what we do here, to scream out in one voice that we're white collar, we're blue collar, white knuckle, we're fired up, we're ready to go. Those people love what we do here. And those are the people that I'm talking to, that we're building a relationship with. We are the American Reveille movement. So now that I've taken a deep breath, let's get over to here real quick. We have 7. All right. These 7 states provided 2 sets of electors to the U.S. Congress. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we will see how they will be handled. All right. Take a look. Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. They all have double electors. And we know for a fact, Ted Cruz is objecting to Arizona. All right. We know that some of the other folks, I think Tom Cotton's been a freaking rhino. I mean, Hawley, I believe Josh Hawley said he was going to dispute Georgia. There's another going for Pennsylvania. This is all an interesting show, and we're going to talk about that a little more when we talk about Pence. All right. But big things are happening. Things are happening behind the scene. And by the way, really quick, when we were talking about the Georgia runoff before, Trump's been seeing it. He's been tweeting it out. All right. He's been putting his stuff out. Just happened to have found another 4,000 ballots from Fulton County. Here we go. And he put this out right before we saw the spike. You remember, we were beating the crap out of the left by hundreds of thousands of votes. Trump goes, look like they're setting up a big voter dump against the Republican candidates, waiting to see how many votes they need. That was 3 hours ago when I read this. This is going shoom, right? It goes shoom. And I didn't say shroom. Get your head out of the mushroom gutter. What I'm saying is shoom. It went skyrocket. We saw somehow, it must be a record. We saw Warnock and Ossoff close hundreds of thousands of ballots worth of a gap in what seemed like less than an hour. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We know that Wisconsin has put out some stuff saying that they want to switch the ballots back to Trump. We know that Pennsylvania put out a similar thing. All right. We have all these states wanting it to go back to the legislature. And then Trump tweeted out, if Vice President Mike Pence comes through for us, we will win the presidency. Many states want to decertify the mistake they made in certifying incorrect and fraudulent numbers in the process not approved by their state legislatures, which it must be. And it must be by the Constitution. And Mike can send it back. And now you may say, Mike doesn't agree. I heard the news. I saw Mike Pence came out and said, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. Well, obviously, that's BS because breaking Pence in total agreement with President Trump, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to get into this. We're going to start reading. I thank you for putting up with me and enjoying the show. And so we're going to talk about this right here from Jack Hadfield. All right. President Trump has said that Vice President Pence is in total agreement with him, and analysis performed by National File in that the VP has the power to act on the Electoral College. And we talked about that. Remember, we put out a couple of videos. I think the video before last was called, Will Pence Do the Right Thing on January 6th? And we'll see. We definitely will see. I hope he does the right thing. And before we wrap this up, I'm going to tell you what I think may happen. But President Trump has recently been vocal on the power that Vice President Mike Pence has when dealing with the Electoral College, even tweeting on Tuesday evening of the VP's constitutional power to reject fraudulently chosen electors. The Vice President has the power to reject these fraudulently chosen electors. However, in an article by Maggie Haberman and Annie Carney posted late Tuesday, the New York Times claimed a source within the White House. And this is where you heard it. This is coming from the left. It's coming from the fake news, the lamestream media, letting you know that Pence told the president on Tuesday he didn't believe he had the power to block Congress. He wasn't going to do it. He couldn't block the certification of Joe Biden's victory in the presidential election. Besides, Mr. Trump's, this is a quote, baseless insistence that he did. This is BS. This is absolute BS. In a statement, President Trump described the New York Times report as fake news, said he and the vice president are in total agreement and that he has the power to act. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he has the power to act. The November 3rd election was corrupt in contested states, and in particular, it was not in accordance with the Constitution in that they made large-scale changes to election rules and regulations as dictated by local judges and politicians, not by state legislatures. This means that it was illegal. Our vice president has several options under the U.S. Constitution. He can decertify the results or send them back to the states for change in certification. He can also decertify the illegal and corrupt results and send them to the House of Representatives for one vote for one state tabulation, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't necessarily know if Mike Pence is going to just outright decertify anything or outright completely send it back to the states. Now, Ted Cruz did put forward the stipulation with the contested election and the states they're going to object to that they will allow things to continue if they allow a 10-day audit that would stretch the due date to the 16th. And in that 10-day audit, they would do a deep dive with full power to be able to look up any facts necessary to find out what happened. Now, he may go with that option because at the end of that, then they could send the votes back to the legislatures to decide what to do with them. All right. And that option's kind of cutting it in the middle. It's a bold statement, but it's not as bold and clear cut as slamming down the gavel and saying, I decertify these votes. Now, you know what? It could happen. He could send it to the House. And you know what? At this point, I know we all want a victory and we want to see it. So, hey, it might happen. You never know. There are millions of people in Washington right now. Millions of people. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy there. I saw the videos Trump posted with, you could hear people screaming and cheering from the Oval Office. It was amazing. I know a lot of us want to be there, but you have a place. You have a job. All right. You're a digital soldier in this. You need to keep spreading the information, getting it out there, telling people what's happening, waking people up. We can't do this with just the people on the ground. It's us too. We have a place in this history as well. You are a big part of that, folks. And remember, regardless of what happens tomorrow, all right, we have a much larger fight behind this. This is a big battle, but it's in a war. It's in a war against the leftist socialist ideology, against the Great Reset, against the Chinese infiltration in all of our systems of governance. That's the fight. Trump will be a great asset to that. But regardless of what happens, that's what we're holding out against. That's what we're going to fight against. That's what seems insurmountable. And you have to come to terms with that. Because if all of us believe we can move a mountain together, we'll move that damn mountain. Let's get back to reading. Until recently, it wasn't clear whether Vice President Pence's heart was truly in the fight for election integrity. At his speech at TPUSA SAS's summit, he dedicated a mere 24 seconds of his 30-minute speech to discussing it, with White House reports claiming that Trump was infuriated by Pence's refusal to take his role over the Electoral College seriously. This attitude seemingly changed at the start of the month, with the Vice President's chief of staff saying last week that Pence now welcomes the Electoral College challenge on January 6th. A planned trip to Israel, Bahrain, and Poland for Pence sent to start on the 6th, which sources claimed was being used as a method to distance himself from the upcoming fallout, was also canceled at the end of December. National File has been at the front of the pack when discussing, and remember that's where I'm reading this from, National File, when discussing the vice president's power over the Electoral College. After National File reported on the so-called Pence card White House memo late last month, and remember the American Reveille reported on it too, discussing the power Pence had to reject electors on December 23rd, it trended #1 on Twitter, with President Trump himself retweeting the memo. Folks, we are facing interesting times, historic times. Some would dare say bold times. Some would dare say terrible times. It depends on the perspective and how you look at it. But for us, folks, these times, these are our times. All right, like the Goonies. Up there, that's their time. Up there, but it's our time. It's our time. Down here. You've seen the Goonies. If you haven't seen the Goonies, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. All right. Don't just go watch it. You'll know what I'm talking about. All right. Listen, there is no way we fix this country at the end of the bucket, at the bottom of the wishing well. And what I mean by that is if we just sit here on wishes, hopes, and dreams and fairy dust, and we just cross our fingers and we go, oh, well, crap happened. We'll try next time. This country that you love, that I love, that we want our children to reap the fruits of their labors in, that we want them to chase the American dream in, a place we're supposed to grow old in, sit in our rocking chair. That place will be gone. And all this dystopian crap that you see in these movies and these leftist productions, this ideal world where everybody, drinks the same drink, eats the same food, shits in the same toilet, and gets the same everything, that equality of equity, that garbage, that nightmare, that racist agenda from the left. We can't let that happen, folks. So remember, if you're not there in Washington on January 6th, don't get all bummed out. Don't let that affect you, all right? And if bad things seem to be happening tomorrow, don't let that affect you. As hard as that is to follow, as hard as that is to do, try your very best to stay logically minded and stoically grounded, ladies and gentlemen. We're in for some turbulence, and I want you to know that if they grant the 10-day audit, we're going to be in another limbo till the 16th. So until the fat lady sings, and no offense to any fat ladies, all right? I'm sorry. It's just an expression, all right? I'm a fat guy right now, all right? Listen, if things seem to be bad, don't give up until it's over, all right? You fight until the very end. You fight with everything in your being. And if we lose, which I'm doubting, but I'm going to be a realist and say there's a chance that anything could happen, though I still believe what I believe in the long run will happen. I believe Trump will be reelected for a second term, regardless of how it happens. But regardless of if bad things happen or bad things seem to happen tomorrow, you stand up tall, square your shoulders, hold your head up high, put your chin up, put your chin out. Look at that chin right there. Put your chin out. All right? Hold your honor. Hold your courage. Be committed. Be an American. Be a patriot. In our darkest hours, in the face of the worst and most terrible and most horrifying, hellish creatures that this country's ever faced, Americans are always at their best. And I expect all of you to be at your very best tomorrow and beyond as we stand shoulder to shoulder in the fight for our nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I've got for you going into the 6th. I got to work tomorrow, but I'll be there. I'll do some posts as we go along. And after I get home later in the day, I'll start putting out content. I've already got some stuff planned, and I'll be watching to see what happens so I can get you the breaking news as quick as possible when it comes out. All right. I'll be with you tomorrow. All right, folks. If you really like what we do, I really appreciate it. If you would hit the like button, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and most importantly, share this with your friends, your family, your neighbor, your church, anybody you can. All right. We need to spread the American Reveille movement like weeds across this nation. This is a grassroots movement. We have no big name sponsors, no big money coming in. If you'd like to donate, you can go to www.americanreveille.com and donate. But do me a favor, just share. We're censored to holy hell, as you can imagine. If you just listen to this whole episode, you can imagine how censored we are. So if you share, you're doing us a great service, and we really, really appreciate it. And one more thing, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, thank you so much. We're getting over 10,000 listens a month on Apple Podcasts from great, wonderful patriots like you. If you loved what we did, just take 2 minutes for me. Go right into your browser there. Go into your Apple Podcast reviews. Give me a 5-star rating. All right. Leave a written review of the show. It can be a sentence. It could be a paragraph. I read all of them anyway, and I appreciate it. But by doing that, it massages the algorithm. It moves us up the rankings, and more patriots like you get to wake up and hear the American Reveille's message and spread it across this great land. Folks, it's been a privilege. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And I'll see you in the danger zone tomorrow, folks. Have a great evening. And a good morning if you're listening to this in the morning of the 6th. Bye.